How did you get in touch with Emma to start your
I didn't.
collaboration?
So her agent got in touch with me, and I think it's actually a better way of. Honestly, I think it's better if the player approaches, not the coach, because I think ultimately it's the player that needs help, not if the coach approaches the player, then it's harder to figure out is it the coach that needs the job, or is the player that needs the coach. And nowadays it's changed quite a bit. Players are they're the bosses, and so it changes the dynamic, the working dynamic. So I think it's not a good thing, because a 19-year-old sometimes doesn't even know how to book a flight ticket. So how can they decide how to structure a working relationship with someone? So in that sense, I think it's not very good, but it is the way it is. So
She's had 10 coaches in 1 year. Is it stressful for you to be in the position, not to know what's going on 1 week after another? How do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, I guess 10 would be like a little exaggeration, but yes. So that's what everyone sort of knows. Like if anyone asks about like Emma Raducanu, like do you know her? Like, oh yeah, she's the girl that had like tons of coaches. So it's obviously not a good reputation to have, but I've mentioned it even before. Like I told that one of the first things I said to her agent and her coach, I said like, listen, well, you have a reputation for this, and it's like it has been happening. So like obviously we need to address that, or we need to discuss that, because it's nobody wants to be in a situation that's not very stable. And I liked her explanation of the fact that she hasn't been able to find someone that she truly connects with, and I respect that, because as a player I didn't travel sometimes with coaches simply because I could not find the right voice. I didn't trust. I didn't feel like the connection was with Joe or whatever, Brian, but then with someone you feel like you have a good connection, and you feel like they understand your game and they understand you as a player. And so that's, ultimately you want to have a coach that sort of understands where you're coming from. It's a little easier to connect. Some of the things you don't have to explain. Because also as a young player, a lot of times they're not very good at giving the information, giving a feedback. They can't explain their own feelings. They don't even understand sometimes what's going on. Like they don't understand if they're scared or if they're angry. It's like a little kid who's learning about emotions, and so they're going through a very, very high learning curve. And if you don't really feel the player, like as a coach, if you don't understand what they're going through, it's sometimes it's hard to coach. I think a lot of times parents have that problem when they're trying to coach, is because they don't understand where the player is coming from. Like the player says like, I'm scared or I'm afraid, and they're like, why are you afraid? Like they don't understand that because they haven't really played themselves. So yes, I think it helps to have a good connection with someone, and so and that explanation makes sense to me, and it makes sense to me how, again, I think a lot of other players go through through coaches, but it's just not we don't hear about it. But with Emma, I think the fact that she changed right after she won US Open, I think that was just very sort of, everyone saw it or everyone heard about it. But I guess there's also there's a valid reason. It's not like she decided like, oh, okay, you know what, I win the tournament and now you're fired. Like it wasn't like that. There was a lot of I think the coach couldn't travel as well, so it's not like he got fired. They kind of had an agreement for a certain period. So it's just, anyway, It's that's from that end, like obviously she explained that part, but also the thing is that ultimately, listen, I've gotten fired already twice, and you know what, I'm not scared of being fired. Like if ultimately I know I have information that I can provide, and if player wants this information, I'm there. If the player doesn't want this information,
I'm still there.
It's fine. I'm like, it's okay. I've been jobless before, so I know how to survive, and I think it gives me a little bit more strength. I think the more, it's like a message to you, the more you fire me, the stronger I get. So I think in that sense, if she fires me tomorrow, okay, it's her decision. Okay, like I might not like it, I might not agree with it, but ultimately I'm gonna survive. Like I'm not gonna cry too much about it.
Okay, Emma, so you can like the video and share.
Please don't fire me.
How's your connection?
I think she's really good. I was actually surprised because I didn't know her. So I really like her. I mean, she's a great person. She's smart. She works hard. Obviously, like, we all have our own things. Every player has their own quirks and character traits, and sometimes players can be stubborn or hard to coach. But you're not going to get a perfect player. But I think she's a really good person. I really like her, so it makes it a little bit easier for me. Whether things change or not, who knows? But for now, I'm not complaining about anything.
I've been seeing you playing on court. You don't necessarily leash your shoes. You don't need it?
No, so this is just a very good shoe.
She plays too slow for you?
No. It's so this shoe, it has like a built-in kind of a sock, so it's pretty. It's actually, that's why I like it, because you can put it on and off, and you don't have to lace it. Of course, like if I had to play a match, I would probably just lace it up. But yeah, I mean, for now, she hasn't gotten to the level to make me lace my shoes. So.
Now the message to you, Emma.
This is how, like, this is like, like in old movies, like martial arts, where the teacher is like fighting his student and then like loses to the student, and he says like, "You're ready." It's like, she's not ready yet.
Yeah. The cool thing is that when I see you playing, you look like a kid. You look like you still like it like a kid. Is that the case? You look like you're really actually playing tennis.
Now I think I enjoy it a little bit more because it's not my job anymore. But I don't play very often. Yeah.
I got lucky here in Portoroz then.
Yeah. No, but also like I've with the net I was hitting quite a bit. With Arena I was hitting quite a bit until she wanted to get a sparring partner. So with Emma, like I'm hitting with her for now. If she feels like I'm not good enough for hitting anymore, then she'll maybe get a sparring partner. But for now, I think it's good. Plus, when you hit with a player, you actually feel a bit like what's happening with their shots. You feel like, okay, you're not really hitting. You're making a lot of sound, and but the ball is not really pushing you. So yes, I like to hit. And I don't mind hitting. I don't mind running a bit.
What about the hairs? They were short when you stopped. What happened? Last question.
Yeah, man, stopped making money. So so now it's saving.
Not much.
Saving, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm because.
Did the girl like it more like that? That your choice?
Actually, I've been getting a lot of complaints, which is, I guess, is what makes me like want to keep it longer. 'Cause, like, that means I'm doing something right. If the girls are complaining, that means I'm doing right. But like if I cut it, I'll never get it long again. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't.
All right.
I'm not like. The Tinder doesn't work anymore for me, so it's like.
Okay, thanks for your time. It was a cool chat. 3 days running after you, but we made it. Thanks for it.
Yeah, no problem.
Wish you the best for the tournament, the rest of the season, and I don't know, the future.
All right, thanks.
Cheers. Thanks.